All right, I wanted to go over your exit ticket from last week. So this is talking about a plant found in the rainforest of Ecuador. It can produce plain green and variated leaves. Sorry. These leaves have white patches present on the surface. In what way does the variation of leaves enhance survival of the species? So if you look at it, this looks very unhealthy. And if you think about how other plants look and how the leaves look, this looks unhealthy. So the variated leaves look unhealthy and insects avoid eating them is the correct answer for this one. You wouldn't put that they attract insect pollinators because this wouldn't really would not do that. But the white patches, whenever a pollinator sees a white patch, they're not going to want to go to it. Also, insects don't usually pollinate on leaves. They usually pollinate on flowers. It says it's better camouflaged in the rainforest. Well, mostly everything in the rainforest is usually green. It's not usually something like this color, so it wouldn't be that one. And these leaves photosynthesizes more than green plants. It's a green plant. It photosynthesizes the same. The correct answer was A. The next one says there are five species of the Texas state flower, the blue. Five species of the Texas state flower, the bluebonnet. Each flower is found in a different region of Texas and has slightly different traits. What most likely accounts for this variation? The variation would be natural selection, okay? And first of all, let's just go over these. We haven't talked about selective pollination nor genetic engineering. The two things we've been talking about this unit are this topic are natural selection and selective breeding. So out of these two, I would have expected you guys to choose, but I had some genetic engineering and I also had some selective pollination. I should have had one of these two, if anything. Well, this is not selective breeding because you don't hear anything about a scientist or a human genetic like modifying this. So you wouldn't put selective breeding. Whenever you hear selective breeding, you're thinking about science or humans. They're actually coming in and making some kind of play with this. So natural selection was the correct answer. So it says over time, the food supply for birds has an isolated island has changed. The supply of insects, small tender seeds, and vegetation has shrunk. The supply of tough, large, hard seeds have remained unchanged. So basically, this food source still remains for the birds. So you want to figure out which beak is most likely to improve their survival rate, right? So do you think what you needed to think about was out of the beaks that were given, which one do you think will be best for eating tough, eating large, and eating hard seeds? And the best one would be this one because it's very tough and it's hard, and you can see that it's also bigger than the other ones, right? If you think about it, if you want to cut something, you're going to want if you want to cut, for instance, a branch off of a tree, you're not going to go and get safety scissors, right? You're going to go and get a bigger type of scissors, and they actually make those in Home Depot and those kind of places, home improvement places. So yeah, you want to go for what is best for what's left, and that's this. All right, the next one says, Mr. Aspara is spraying a type of pesticide in his garden to kill the insects that are eating his plants. There are very few bugs for a few weeks, but over time, Mr. Aspara's pesticide killed fewer and fewer insects. Which of the following best explains why the pesticides were no longer killing many insects? So the first thing I would have done was understand what the question is asking me. So it's saying that these bugs were being killed by this pesticide, but eventually the pesticides stopped working, and eventually they weren't able to kill anymore. They didn't kill as many insects as they did before, which means that those insects built up some kind of resistance or some kind of tolerance to the pesticide. So one thing you needed to do was first figure out if it was natural selection or selective breeding. That way you can narrow your decision down to at least 50%, right? So remember, natural selection happens over time in nature. And remember that selective breeding happens by what? You guessed it, humans. Humans have to come into play. So a human is here, but I don't want you to be distracted because it never said that he ever cross-pollinated anyone, that he didn't like cross-breed anyone. He didn't breed any insects with any other insects. So selective breeding would be eliminated automatically. So I would cross these two out and I would be left with these two. So then one that talks about that the first round of pesticides reproduce offsprings that were the first round of pesticides reduced the offspring. And then the second one talks about offspring that were likely to resist the pesticide. Sorry, I had to scroll over. And then the next one talks about that the pesticide changed over time. It adapted to the environment of the garden. All right, well, you're not thinking about the pesticide adapting. You're thinking about the insects adapting. So you should have automatically went from crossed this one out and went to this one. But let me explain it a little bit differently as well. If you think about your life, right? If you think about you at school, when you guys would do something and you would lose your locker, what did you do? You adapted, right? You found something different in order to help you better survive, right? And so that's what happened with this. And so not only did you figure this out, but you end up passing this along to all of your other classmates. So they started doing this as well. Oh, well, if I lose my locker, that's fine. I'll just put everything in my backpack or don't bring anything, or I'll leave it in classrooms, or I'm going to share a locker with someone else. Those are the same things that insects do in life as well. The next one says the picture below shows a giraffe eating leaves off of a tree, which are the following characteristics will help individuals in a population of giraffe outlive the other giraffes. Of course, longest necks would have been the correct answer. Unfortunately, some people chose other things. I'm not quite sure why they would have. They don't have bright fur. They don't have the spots is not going to help them eat. Sharp teeth isn't going to help them eat because they don't have to cut through flesh or anything like that. They only have to eat leaves. So these things aren't really something that you would want to think about. Longest necks should have been the correct answer. I hope that helps. I also added some videos and some little tidbits to help you. If you got those wrong, check those out. Have a good day.